this rule or this thing. So when anybody comes into an established couple, there are going to be things that are already set in place. Maybe they have legal ties to each other. Maybe they have joint children that are biologically theirs. It's really important that you establish where you want all of that to be in your life, but also preserve the new person's feelings and potential to be in your life, because somebody new just coming in to your relationship, whether it be one person, two people, three, however many, they want to feel validated and they want to feel like what you have is real and true and important. Whatever kind of hierarchy you get into, you need to have those conversations early on. And if that's all you can offer, well, then you need to be very upfront and honest about it and say, hey, this is what we have, and this is our hierarchy, and I need you to fit this role. And that person needs to be honest enough to let you know whether they can operate within that, or if it's something that they know they can't do.
So important, if you're new to polyamory especially, and you're coming into a situation, be honest.
Yeah.
It's just as important as people who are already in this lifestyle and they've already been around the block a few times, to be honest and open and communicate and radically transparent. If you're coming into it and you're new, don't say you can do a thing if you can't do the thing.
Yeah, because again, like we said in the last episode, lying to yourself and lying to others is not a good way to start it.
No.
We mentioned part of this last episode, and it's when Jay and I had a girlfriend, and technically I guess you'd call it a unicorn, because she was a single female who was dating both Jay and I. And the thing is that we didn't treat her as a third. She was treated, as one of us, as a part of the family.
But that's how we wanted it to be. Not everybody is capable of doing that. And I mean, that's okay if that's what works for you. That's not how we wanted things. I know how I would feel and how I have felt coming into relationships that are existing, especially with how I am and how I really strive to treat everyone equally and dispense my time and my everything equally as much as possible. And when it's not returned, or it's rejected, or I'm made to feel like put in my place, that makes me feel horrible.
Mm.
And I know a lot of people out there feel the same way. So I really strive not to do that to anybody else. But that's how I operate, and that's how I am. And if you are doing a hierarchy in that way, then you need to make sure
they understand.
And they understand that place in your life.
And you might want to make some sort of inroads for when people want to switch roles or change their role or modify it in some way so that they don't feel trapped in a box.
A really good idea we heard at one of the poly meetups was it like once a month or once every 2 or 3 months, they would all sit down and reevaluate their kind of, I don't know if it was a physical contract or like a verbal contract of how they wanted their relationship to go, and then they would reevaluate that within a certain time frame, and they would have a date set, and they would go over, how are you feeling things are going, what can we improve on, is this place that we're in still what you want, or is it something different? And I think that's a really good way.
I know one thing that helped us out when we all first got together is that we would have family meetings.
Yep.
And what we did was we had a kids family meeting where everybody got together. Okay, are the kids doing okay? That was the primary thing. Are the kids okay? How are the kids handling everything once we moved in together? Making sure that was good.
We would check in with them, and we would allow them a space to be able to share things that they might be feeling that they didn't feel like they could share with their siblings at the time.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing we would do is we'd have everybody in the relationship talk, like basically a airing of grievances, so to speak, or
oh no,
Festivus for the rest of us. But we would have that every, at least once a month or every so often. It wasn't a planned thing. It was like, okay, things happen. Whenever you put 4 adults together,
with kids,
with kids and opinionated adults and strong personality adults, you're gonna have to check in every now and then. And so what we would do is that we would check in with each other, just all sit down. Okay, how do you feel about this? How do you feel everything's going this way? You know, should we have more date nights? Should we have less date nights? Should we, do a date day, or should we, how are we going to handle things? Yeah, anything, just, do we all need to get out and just have a good day, a good hike, a good, something, anything. So we would just check in on each other regularly. And
we would have a weekly schedule meeting every Sunday.
Yeah.
And we would hang out in our pajamas and talk about what was happening the rest of the week. So that way we could be up to date on appointments or whatever else was coming up.
It's a funny thing when you have those meetings, how the personality types will emerge. You'll have people who are trying to be upfront and honest, and they'll search themselves, and they're generally happy, but they're trying to not hide anything. So even the slightest thing, they'll bring it up.
Mm-hmm.
And then there'll be those ones that they will only share something if they crack.
Mm.
Yeah, and usually when they get to that point of where they're cracking, it's already going too far.
Yeah, you're already late. It's hard. This is where the big C word comes in.
Mm-hmm.
Communication. Yes, you got to be honest enough with yourself to understand that tiny little grievance might not have been even important enough to bring up at the meeting.
Right.
Because it was something that you wouldn't have been upset about it had you not had that bad day at work or at school or whatever the situation was. It wouldn't have even affected you, wouldn't have even fazed you. So you don't need to bring it up. Then there's those ones that you've been sitting on this for how long? And there's no rule as to which of those situations is the correct one. That's something you've got to answer to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Then the other type of polyamorous relationship is relationship anarchy. And relationship anarchy is basically when everybody operates and rejects all hierarchies. They reject them in every situation, a social relationships, romantic, sexual, platonic, and they operate in that way so that they have their own personal autonomy, and any sort of pre-existing structure they don't adhere to.
That just sounds interesting.
That sounds frightening to me on multiple levels. Not because I want all that much control, but it's just one of those situations where if I were in a relationship that was completely anarchical,
Anarchy.
That was complete anarchy, I guess it would be one of those things where, well, like we encounter people at the poly meetup, and they'll say, oh, well, we have a complete relationship anarchy. I'll date whoever I want. They'll date whoever they want. We'll just talk about it later, and we're all happy, and we all just do our thing, and we all love each other's freedom.
My brain goes, ah!
My brain goes, because it's one of those, it's a small world.
Mm-hmm.
There's that circle of three sort of thing. It's like everybody knows somebody who knows somebody else, and you finally meet back up.
Mm-hmm.
The 6 separations of Kevin Bacon.
That's the one. 6 degrees of separation or something.
6 degrees of Kevin Bacon.
The thing is, in a situation like that, how long is it going to be before a loved one comes to you and says, hey, guess who I fucked today? And
my brother? No.
And it's one of those situations where you're like, I am so not okay right now. And might never be okay again, and you're under quarantine.
Which it would be good for another episode, I think.
Yeah.
Or anything like that. This person is spending time with somebody who is, them to be bad news, or you have had bad experiences with them. And that's just relationship. That's just relationship farming. I coined that term just now because I didn't know how else to explain it. That's just
explain what it means to you.
Sowing out those seeds and seeing what grows.
Okay.
Like just ranging out, just flirting with everybody and seeing who returns the favor. And hey, here, yeah.
Oh, I never heard it described like that.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
I like that.
That's going in
relationship farming. Okay.
Yeah.
Cabaret trademark.
Patent pending.
Crow.
And that's just in that regard. I mean, think about all of the things that it takes to organize a home. If you're nesting, there has to be established roles. If it's anarchy, who's paying the bills? Who gets to decide when it's done? What if I just decided for no other reason to quit my job because I just decided I had enough? No, I quit today. When you get another job? When I feel like it. Because if I lived alone, I might have enough reserve in the bank account that I could handle that. If I lived completely by my own rules, I'll do something else that will just tide me over for a little while we consider this. But if you're cohabitating, if you're nesting, that could really throw a monkey wrench into things.
I don't think, though, it applies to those things. I can see if you took it to the extreme. Everybody has personal obligations and things that they have to take care of. I see where you're going, though. But I feel like it's more a relationship based on pursuing their connections with mutual desires and wants.
See, me, I'm all about anarchy because, I just rules. But my biggest problem with anarchy is the fact that I don't have a lot of, I have control issues.
You're a control enthusiast.
I like that term.
That's a good way to put it.
What are you trying to say, Jay?
The funny thing...
Oh, like 99% of our arguments are over, you thinking you have better ideas about how things are to be done.
Okay, just because I'm right.
Where's my lamp? I know I put it in here somewhere. Maybe it's in this box.
Sorry, your lamp has been put away.
It's for the benefit of all of us. We need to talk about how I was getting jealous of that lamp. Just saying. You don't look at me the way that you look at the lamp.
Is this a lamp prevention?
It is. It is.
There is another hierarchy, if you will, another way to do things. And we've talked about ourselves being egalitarian, but we're highly role-based. We have two breadwinners right now. We have a person who's in charge of the finances, as it were, the banking and bill paying. We have a homemaker. We have established roles.
Yep, my established role is a pirate.
Arr.
Oh wait, I gotta talk like a pirate the whole time?
Yeah.
Oh,
now you do.
No, never mind.
Yeah.
Look what you did.
Nope, not doing it. Okay, my role is no longer a pirate.
Maybe the piracy language was not even a real thing. Maybe it was just he was correcting the grammar of the sailors. The cannons be ready. R.
Maybe he was just a pacifist. The cannons be ready. Or we can talk to them.
If he was from Louisiana, that's how he would say it. R.
Wow.
Holy shit.
They actually don't pronounce their R's, so.
Yeah, we do.
Not really.
See, in New England, we just create ones that aren't there.
But what about the whole ka?
Well, where do you
keys.
think we got the extra R?
Oh, you had to take them out somewhere.
We took it out from the word that it actually belonged to, and we added it to one it didn't need.
Yeah, okay, then that makes sense. I see. Where I'm from, Louisiana, we just add letters just for fun.
Well, yes, in Louisiana, you have all 26 letters and pronounce 4.
Yeah. I'll go with that. So
3-syllable words like Thibodeau or 16 letters long.
Pretty close, yeah.
Thibodeaux.
Anyway, really, you're counting. You're actually counting.
It's 10 letters.
10 letters long. 3 syllables, 10 letters.
Jay actually counted and had to make sure
I did.
Just to prove her point, just so that she was right.
We are all control enthusiasts in this family.
What?
What?
So Jay is trying to control what Crow said.
I'm a control enthusiast. I am. High anxiety people have a tendency to be control enthusiasts. We really do.
Jay, is your eye twitching again?
Mm-hmm.
Roll base. So as Crow
Wouldn't that be the same as keeping your lane?
No, not necessarily.
Perhaps, except that if you got a job and I lost mine, ostensibly we would flip those roles. If you...
They're not permanent lanes, so to speak.
They're just, who happens to be in charge of this now?
So when we're saying role-based, it's kind of like, well, who's good at this thing?
Can I be the paladin? Oh, that's role-playing. Okay.
That's another podcast.
So Jay's French maid outfit is...
Come on, get original.
Okay.
French maids?
Yeah, no.
So
we don't do
old
French
news. Do you want me covered in dust and spider webs? Because that's what, a maid would be, all
so how
dirt
about
and grime, and they
Morticia?
don't take care of their feet
Morticia
and stuff
Adams?
either. Well, but she's not a French maid.
No, I'm just saying,
I'm feeling very called out right now.
No, so what if we dress Jay up as Morticia?
Yeah.
Adams.
Yeah.
I totally
have the dress picked out. I've been having it picked out for years, but You know?
So we're in